as a team that has been constantly improving. I remember last year first seeing them in top 12 Open Division, and from there they've been steadily growing and steadily growing and steadily growing. So I think they'll be in contenders soon enough. Maybe not the next time I'm asking, but they're working extremely hard. They're constantly entering these sort of tournaments where, yeah, they'll probably go and win, but they're constantly practicing professionalism in-game and out, and that sort of thing is very special to me when I'm watching a team.
No, I definitely agree with you there. And Lofi been kind of struggling since they left a defense mode behind. You know, they've been trying to find their footing, so to speak. Didn't really have a great run in the most recent Open Division, but hey, they still got some amazing players on there. And if they're able to hold their own with Regen, another very old team in the Overwatch North American scene, I feel like they might still be able to give Drifters a run for their money.
Well, actually, they've had to make a couple of roster changes since then. I believe they have Boat on their roster previously, who's now playing for Drifters, so that's a little bit of a storyline you might want to keep an eye out on, keep the narration going, that's what I'm good at. But yeah, they lost a lot of players. They had a really good couple of results when they were defensive mode, top 6 in Open Division. They went and won Whale English Invitational 2. So those are two things that they have done terrifically, right? And from there, it has gone downhill, but they were always a team known for individual play. Players like Bulby, etc., both in the past, they have been known for their individual play, whereas Drifters, to me at least, yes, they have great individuals, but I think for them, every single time I watch them, for me, I think about their team play, and it's always getting better, it's always improving. They have Green Havoc as a coach, they always seem well disciplined, so I like that about Drifters. And if defense mode, aka the Lofi now, are going to have any chance in this game, it's probably going to be for individual plays.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And just so you all watching the recording right now, it seems like we had some issues on the stream end. So you'll be able to see this back and kind of see the issues that we were dealing with. But no worries, we're going to get that back up and started here very, very shortly. But just looking at these teams and kind of the practice that they have, especially relating it back to Tranquility, we've been talking about Rocket already. Rocket has been a kind of a staple since attack mode that grew up in the Tranquility server and moved their way from our gold to masters range to now be competing in contenders trials, being able to pick up a hero in a matter of a couple of weeks and just be able to dominate on that May. That's been one of probably their greatest achievements as of recent, just being able to pick up a hero like that and just be able to absolutely change the name of the game as the way that their team has been playing it. But a recent addition that was also part of the Tranquility community was Yamitra, their flex support that they recently added to the Drifters team, which, we're always excited as the lowly tier 4 orgs that we are. We don't always get to have some fun in the spotlight like your higher tier orgs do. But you know what? We love to see our community members being able to move on. And if you're interested and being part of that community, head on over to Overwatch or OWTranquility.com. That gives you a link to all of our various links, takes you to our Discord. You can find out our Twitter there, as well as many other resourceful links, and learn about our tournament. We've got the new season getting ready to start up here kind of late August, early September time frame. So if you're a Gold to Masters player, looking to, I don't know if there's room to put in teams necessarily, as lately people have really been trying to get their foot in the door here. But as a player, you might be able to find yourselves a spot as we go ahead and head on in to Busan.
That was actually a really cool little cinematic to bring us into Busan. One of my favorite control maps. I actually think it is my favorite control map. I've never really been involved in any of these tier 4 communities, so this is really interesting for me. I think other than like the Will English Invitational, which has some sort of tier 4 teams, and this event, I've never really had that experience. And when I moved from console casting to PC casting, within 5 or so months, I was casting tier 2, tier 2.5 events. So this is unique for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got some more familiar names here. Noctis and the rest of the Drifters roster. Biz as well as a player I've casted for in the past, and this should be more in my comfort zone. But it's really interesting to see about these players, or see and hear about these players who have come up the ranks, right? And are now showcasing their skills at the higher tiers of play. And I think it actually shows the importance of the lower tier communities, right? I think it's really important players to be able to develop like that. And actually, just as someone who owns an Overwatch organization, we have a team competing in Korea currently. We had a pretty good EU Open Division team that finished top 12 recently. I'm not kind of thinking to myself, would it be worth to try and create a pyramid for players to go up? And I think this is very interesting, just for players to climb up the ladder and let personalities flourish. That's something I'm just watching this event and hearing about these stories thinking about.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the great things about Tranquility and other organizations like ours is, especially for Tranquility, we are constantly trying to kind of change the name of the game. As you all may know, if you spend any time in a regular competitive lobby, things get a little toxic. Let's just be honest. It gets a little toxic there, but Tranquility is one of those places that's trying to change the name of the game. We teach our players that it's all about learning and experiencing the game, and there's no reason to rely on toxicity when you can just grow your skill and be able to create those connections with a very close-knit team. Folks like Rocket and PDK and Yamitra all grew up in this kind of thing, and even as we see it now on Drifters, kind of the respect that comes from a team like them compared to other teams that we've experienced in Open Division that aren't so nice. So needless to say, seeing those teams grow up, seeing these players grow up and be able to take those with them is interesting. The Symmetra TP does take them out of spawn, and they're going to go ahead and meet on the high ground. Hello, how's your father? As Infected already falling low, and Noctis able to grab that final blow there at the end. It's going to allow Lava and the rest of the team to just kind of bowl on in. Lost actually choosing to hold on to that Symmetra with Biz on this Doomfist, and that's going to be first objective captured by Lofi Aim here on the Mecha Base.
Yeah, and Infected, of course, not the usual main tank we see for Drifters. Crimson, of course, out of the lineup today, and I think it was a hard fight for Infected because of the Symmetra teleporter getting their opponents to the objective, to the high ground first.
Ooh. And that's not a good way to start off the re-engage as Lost and Lava find their way onto the high ground, delivering a loss of life to the side of Drifters as they head back to spawn once again.
I feel like that's going to be the targeting point as well for Lofi today. It's going to be Infected. Not because Infected's a bad player. We've seen Infected crush it in Contenders Trials previously. It's not the usual main tank, and that role requires a lot of coordination. So this Symmetra and this Doomfist is going to put a lot of pressure onto Infected.
That's absolutely true. We see the barrier come out to try to negate the ability of that Amp Matrix as we see Biz coming in with the Meteor Strike, trying to find some loss of life there, but going to be unsuccessful. Cash does find Infected there in the front line as Maxwell tries to zone back Lo-Fi Aim, but they're already past 50%, and they're not looking to let go of this objective anytime soon.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, There is one plus, and like, they had to use both of their DPS ultimates last fight did Lo-Fi, so Drifters have that to play into their hands, but they still have to walk into 2 DPS that are quite difficult to walk into. Doomfist, of course, has the Rocket Punch, that's a one-shot ability, and Symmetra turrets are never fun to deal with.
All right, well, we do see Rocket and the rest of the team rotating onto the objective. Shatter does grab Yamitra, but will continue to hold everyone else together. Maxwell now on the high ground, just doling out the damage as they grab the double kill ship with the little bit of follow-up right there. But no, the self-destruct finds nothing for Cash as they continue to hold on. We're headed to 97% as Drifters finally swap control.
Yeah, so Drifters, that's the most important team fight they can ever win, because obviously, if they don't, they lose the round. Yep. They make it so it's last fight territory, they only need one more team fight win, but this is difficult. They have to deal with Rocket's Blizzard, and they have to walk through the choke. And walking through chokes against May is never easy.
That is not easy at all. Rocket does have that Blizzard online, so really got to watch out for Cash. Rocket actually throwing it into the side room. Not exactly for certain who they were trying to zone there, but Maxwell grabs Noctis and gets met by the Meteor Strike of Biz, grabbing the double, killing them and Yamitra, and the cleanup is fierce at 38%, 98, 99 as Neptune just barely able to touch the objective and trigger the overtime as we see them try to move their way back in. Rocket gets deleted by Cash as the overtime wick continues to burn. Shatter coming in from Infected, doesn't find much of anything is lost, just melts them down with that beam. Maxwell is able to find Geo to keep that overtime wick going strong as the trades just continue to keep coming in. Cash and Lost find Yamitra and Neptune, but Rocket's back in, able to get Lost in the pocket and send him right on over the side, but the self-destruct of Cash will go ahead and zone out the objective. Infected not able to touch in time with 100 to 38 as we see Lofi aim lock down the mecha base.
About the part of this game that is unfolding. Drifters, we would say, come into this series as the favourites, right? They've just won the last World English Invitational showcase. They were just in Contenders Trials, where Lofi didn't qualify for that, obviously having a pretty poor open division by their standards. Drifters coming into this as the favourites, not with their normal main tank, and in that round of Mecha Base, Infected was the first Drifters player to die in 4 of the 5 team fights. So that is where Lofi are putting all of their resources. Of course, this Metro pick makes things extremely difficult for Infected, and now this might be something a little bit more open. It's harder to target something like a Wrecking Ball, especially on a map as open as this. So it's going to be difficult for Lofi to extract that game plan here, so that might help Drifters for at least the time being.
That's absolutely true, and it looks like they're going to continue to hold on to this composition right here, with Blizz opting for the Tracer this time around over the Symmetra that Lost was using before, as they go ahead and take up the Peacekeeper with that McCree. Biz is already on the objective, making the business right there. Yamitra trying to go ahead and contest, while the rest of the team fights it out on the high ground. Infected and Ship able to grab the double, which will create enough space for them to go ahead and bring this sucker back. With Maxwell now on this Echo, you know she's going to be doling out a massive amount of damage, and that's objective captured by Drifters.
Something I kind of missed on the last round is Ship as a D.Va player is so good, comparable to Hanbin, nullifying DPS players or nullifying players and getting any sort of value. Now, when we're playing on Mecha Base and your opponents are playing Symmetra and Doomfist, it is very hard for a D.Va to nullify any of those DPS just because of the nature of the map and the nature of how those DPS heroes work. Now, this also suits Ship a lot more. It's a lot more open. They can Matrix Lost and Biz a lot more, and it's a little bit more difficult for the DPS and Lofi to get value.
All right, Maxwell on the high ground, already has the Shatter online, gets nothing but shield, but is still able to get the follow-up onto Lava. They're going to continue to hold as they stagger out Cash just a little bit, but that objective is going to continue to hold as Rocket and Infected clear the high ground.
Yeah, that was well timed from Maxwell. I mean, it was a little bit audacious, to say the least, but it was well timed, which was the important thing, that the engagement came at the right time. And we're going to switch over to Rush here for Lofi, and this is interesting. I think the best thing they can do is basic hack setups, because Rush is really good into mobile comps, and well, there's no real immobile heroes on the side of Drifters right now.
That's true. It looks like they're going for Infected to start things off, as we talked about that linchpin, the only player that hasn't really been with the team as long as the rest of them. The stick comes in from Biz, able to grab the back of Ship, but they just send in the self-destruct. All right, I'll get back into back, no worries. Rocket does find Noctis amidst the chaos, and they're going to continue to clean things up. This Rush composition isn't going to find its way into this objective anytime soon, as we head into final fight for Lofi aim.
Going into this final fight, if they can even get it, they're going to have to rely on Lost CMP, which is going to be on 99%. They still have to touch the point. They will, and they don't get the MP off, but they have activated overtime, so there is time for Lofi aim.
That's right, they just got to be able to touch it. Infected, no! Sending Noctis over the side as they're able to clean it up. Maxwell coming out with the monkey duplicate. Primal Rage gets hacked out, but there's nothing that they can do. Drifters showing, okay. Mecha Base was just the warm-up as they dominate downtown 100-0.
Well, one thing I will say about that Mecha Base matchup is it did suit Lofi extremely well, and like it couldn't have been more perfect for them, right? You know, you've got the perfect heroes that nullify ships' main benefit as a D.Va player. They're excellent quality, they're star quality, and you have a map where you can just pressure Infected to the moon and back. But when we get on something more open, something that allows ship show their dominance on D.Va, something that allows them to play how they want to play D.Va, how they want to play D.Va, and Infected to play something that isn't just going to get bullied 24/7 unless you're literally running 12 stuns, you're staying far back and making engagements difficult, which they actually might be able to do here on this double shield comp. If their Sigma and Orisa play split and don't let Infected build up that ultimate or actually get nice power drives off, this can be difficult for Infected to play into. So it's clear to see the thought process of what Lofi and what to do.
Yeah, and what we've been seeing a lot lately at the higher tiers, as we were talking about earlier on stream, is this double shield meta is kind of re-emerging just because of how much protection it allows for their DPS and supports. But Infected, not worried about those shields whatsoever on that Wrecking Ball. Gonna go ahead and roll on in, get stalled a little bit right there. I think they were trying to see if they could grab Biz there in the end, but gonna be unsuccessful. Gonna have to leave that to Rocket and the rest of the team as Cash does find Infected, eliminating that Wrecking Ball off of the board for now. But that Immortality is already out and down for Geo as Control actually had already flipped for Lofi Aim. They grabbed, or sorry, for Drifters. They're already up to 25% as the fight continues on, and there doesn't seem to be much that Lofi Aim can do than try to pick off 1-for-1.
I mean, that's the benefits of the composition Drifters are running. It's very split. It's a team or composition that allows fights to last long, and that's what the composition likes to do. Make fights long and take multiple mini team fights, multiple mini engagements, but those engagements can't last forever, especially when you're losing players like Flies and Lost is playing like that.
Yeah, they are just continuing to drop like flies on either side. We do see Lofi Aim able to grab control there in the end, and it looks like they have finally stabilized 15% and climbing as they try to meet the Drifters' percent.
There's a very interesting ultimate online here, and that is Cash's Gravitic Flux. Another ultimate like kind of Graviton Surge where you want to use it against teams that are playing in a group. Well, Drifters are not going to be doing that. Maybe their support line, so maybe wait for the Moira Fade and try and catch out the supports. That's something you could do with that ultimate. And then Noctis, what they could do is like activate the Railway to make a more sturdy plan to follow up on that Gravitic Flux.
Alright, well the Gravitic Flux comes out and it doesn't seem to catch much of anybody unless they were on the other side of that drum. But it looks like that Drifters are indeed pulling a deja vu. They're drifting right around that Gravitic Flux, right around Lofi Aim, and they'll go ahead and bring that point right back into their control.
We didn't see Maxwell in the last English Invitational Showcase, right? Maxwell wasn't playing that day. It was Boat and Rocket.
Yeah,
right?
we sure did.
And now Maxwell is coming back in here on the Echo. Doesn't look like they've missed a beat at all. They've looked very solid today on the Echo. Multiple plays where there's the focal point of the team fight, and they'll have the duplicate for the next one. So keep an eye on Maxwell once again.
That's absolutely true. The rally now coming out from Noctis, trying to provide that a little additional set of armor right here as Maxwell opts for the D.Va that Cash has swapped over to try to see if they can zone things out. Ship comes out with that bomb, grabs Geo, self-destruct now out from Maxwell, trying to see if they can earn up another one as Infected is just like revving right on through the enemy team. Maxwell earns up the second bomb, finds Lost, and is able to get the cleanup. Biz does find Rocket with the pulse bomb, but it's too little, too late. 97, 98, 99, it's done. So as Drifters go ahead and walk away with Busan 2-1 against Lofi Aim.
I really like the composition that Drifters are running currently. It is a kind of spin on what we were seeing in Overwatch League. recently for the June Joist. It's kind of like, do you remember the Wrecking Ball Diva Brigida Zen compositions that we saw previously, where Wrecking Ball Sigma was the other variation, was a little bit more poke based? It kind of reminds me of that, but it's different. It's got a different support line. Not necessarily the same goal composition wise, but just how it plays and how to play against it is a little bit different as well. The reason I'm bringing this up is the support line is different, but the tank line is sort of the same. And what are the benefits of each support line? Well, Brigitte Zenyatta is a lot of stability damage-wise. You have those Discord orbs constantly for weaker damage heroes like Tracer, who are great when it comes to taking one-on-ones of Discord orbs, and Harmony orbs make that really, really nice. And armor packs from Brigitte make those really nice as well, and that's why that support line was played. Also, a little bit of extra stability for the Zenyatta to get into the fight. But why is the Lucio Moira being played here? Well, Rush is probably going to be a composition that teams are favouring right now as well. And if you're playing heroes like Moira and Lucio, it's really hard to rush onto those heroes, right? Because they're either really immobile, unless you get hacked up by the Sombra, and then you can walk onto them. But that requires a lot of coordination. It's quite difficult to do every single team fight. So I like this kind of spin on that sort of thing. We have been seeing a little bit more of this with Wrecking Ball. Recently, Shanghai Dragon's Core played it in the June Joist, and I like it. I think we should see a little bit more of it. I do still prefer Rush compositions with Winston Diva. I feel like you have a little bit more versatility in your engagements, but your disengagements. Not engagements. That engage is just a flat out lie. But that's my personal opinion on that, and I actually really like it. I think it gives Drifters a nice look.
All right, so it looks like we actually do have Crimson in the lobby. I think Crimson's just, kind of sitting back, not too worried about what's going on. Lofi is going to be choosing our next assault map, which is bringing us to Temple of Anubis. For this next one, we did see this in the previous match between Lofi and Regen. Lofi did incredibly well on it. It did go down to the wire, but they were able to take it away there in the final moment. So I'm going to be interested to see how they respond to the to how Drifters set themselves up, because they are choosing to attack to start things off.
I think Drifters have a lot of momentum right now. I don't see why you wouldn't go for that pick. And obviously, I feel like they have to go for attack first, because they go defense first, and they get caught out by something that Lofi do or will do, like they did on Maccabeus, then it could be trouble for Drifters, and they could just lose all of that momentum. I think it's better for them to keep the momentum they have right now and get a nice attack on the board, at least guaranteed 2 points. And I do want to talk about Infected for a bit, because Infected are a tough mecha base, but the rest of that map, pretty solid. And Infected is a young player, an up-and-coming player, and for a team like Drifters, that potentially might have a player poached to the Overwatch League, for example, or by another Contenders team, or is just looking to produce talent, this tournament and having Infected is a nice opportunity for them, just to see how they could grow a player, maybe have them in their ranks, maybe if they go for another sister team setup, they can have Infected. That sort of planning is nice for a team like Drifters to be able to have, and this event is a nice event for them to do that.
That's absolutely true. And that's one of the things that I think we might be looking out for here in the near future, because most of the time these teams know well in advance if one of their players is going to end up getting picked up for a Contenders or higher team. So if they have any inkling that is possible, using a tournament like this to be able to create some space and be able to set somebody up for success instead of kind of putting them in last minute is definitely going to work out very well for them. And as you see, they're going to be using this Wrecking Ball Diva composition to try to push in with. Noctis does come in on that Brig and finds Infected to go ahead and start things off, which is already leaving this at a 5v6, but Drifters aren't worried. Infected's going to be able to get back in on that Wrecking Ball pretty quickly, and are actually going to be able to zone out the high ground just a little bit.
Yeah, it's a rush composition from the offense, and Drifters, they're just going to wait for Infected to come in from the left-hand side, and everyone's going to collapse from the other way, probably just from main or the right-hand side. But Maxwell's being caught out, so their timing needs a little bit of adjustment.
Ooh, that's true, and already we see the pick coming in from Infected. That ult is deadly from Lava as they continue to hold everything together. Even finds Rocket with the ult, trying to give him a good old high five to the face right there, as already 2:40 remains on the clock.
So Infected is not in a perfect position to set up on that top left, although Cash has found them on the bottom right side. So that's, the left from the attacker's perspective is where Infected is hiding right now. I think they should stay there, and then once everyone else is engaged from main, they can pile drive the bridge. But the problem is now they've put themselves in a really awkward position where it's hard to pile drive main, but they're still gonna go for it.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta try to do what they can, and we see Lost on this high ground has been absolutely deadly on this Ashe for a couple of rounds now, and Neptune just has been a nuisance as of late, just kind of running around the various corners of this back line, which, I don't know, may be making it a little hard for the rest of Drifters to get into the action.
I don't know, Maxwell is found Noctis and is going for the spawn camp, and I like this a lot because this is one of the players, one of the CCs, that's going to make life hard for Infected, hard for Rocket, and anyone really. So if they could get this spawn kill, they'll be looking pretty good.
Alright, well, we have seen Infected swap over to the Rhine, not able to make it through that window fast enough, but Rocket in the pocket with the pulse bomb, grabs the double kill, and is now going to be working their way in to clean up the rest of this fight. They got all the space they needed by keeping Noctis out of that fight. Yamitra ended up grabbing Lost at the end as Blizz sends the self-destruct high in the duplicate form. They're going to continue to try to hold this out, but with a minute on the clock, those ultimates gotta be invested. They find Neptune, but Maxwell gets the trade onto Geo, and now they're trying to make their way onto Infected as well. The Gravitic Flux comes out, but doesn't find the value that it's looking for. The trade comes in between Maxwell and Biz as they continue to fight their way in to this objective, but the cleanup is back. The beat comes in from Neptune, saving the day, and Rocket is on a tirade, grabs the double kill, ship following up on Cash, and that is it. Objective Alpha is finally captured by Drifters as they get 3:30 on the clock for Objective Bravo.
Yeah, McCree for a little bit more brawliness in the midpoint, because obviously Drifters will have the opportunity to force a brawl once the self-destruct or the coalescence comes in. That's when Drifters are going to get aggressive, and that's when a brawl will be forced no matter what, because there's not enough room on Anubis by being a move around for the defense.
Yeah, there's just not a lot that they're going to be able to do, but they're just going to run right on in. First pick, second pick, third pick. Ho! Right now is Blizz just trying to hold everything together. The self-destruct goes high, finds Geo. There was just nothing that Biz could do to get in position correctly, and the shield holds it all together. Infected being the front line of defense right now as everyone is getting cleaned up. There's a kitchen sink on this point. I'm sure that's already been sent back to spawn at this point, and now Maxwell coming back in with the fist duplicate. Ore has the meteor strike online, looking to see if they can get the follow-up on to Biz as they head back in as that Tracer, and Rocket finds him amidst the chaos, and now Noctis tries to hold it all together, but round one is complete. 2 minutes 24 seconds remaining on the clock as we see Drifters head to the defense.
Yeah, I didn't like how Drifters were playing at the start of that round at all. I thought their setups were pretty poor. I thought they were too complicated for no reason at all, and I thought they were just generally worse than they should be. And I feel like that's because you want to run the Wrecking Ball here, because from what I personally watched, I think Infected is more comfortable on that hero. The Winston, so they were kind of forcing the running the Wrecking Ball instead of the Winston. Wrecking Ball is still good on the attack here, and you could create some very simple and easy setups. Like, they were sitting in the bottom left a couple of times ready to go, and then all of a sudden they're on some other weird flank on some place of Anubis I've actually never seen before, right? You don't need to go be there. Just a simple power drive on the high ground, everyone coming in and main. It's an engagement and a nice opening to the team fight, as long as it's well timed and there's a consistent focus an objective for you to accomplish, then that's absolutely fine. But I feel like Infected maybe got caught out or scouted and then overcomplicated things a little bit. That's something that they're going to need to work on in the future. But also, I thought the Flames' defense until point B was pretty good. They were poking and staying from afar, which made damage really difficult for Infected. Their general focus fire when Infected went for those foul drives was nice. Of course, the Winston pick wouldn't have been as isolated when they went for just a general lead than when Wrecking Ball went for a pile drive. That's why the Winston pick might have been a little bit better for how And Infected was doing those setups, so that's my personal opinion on that. But once they got to point B, once Infected was comfortable in the Reinhardt, and they were able to force a brawl that was their comfort zone, they looked absolutely excellent. That was a brilliant point B capture. They forced the brawl instantly.
All right, well, let's go ahead and see if the defense holds up to what they're looking to deliver. We essentially have a mirror composition here. The only difference is Neptune on the Brig and Noctis on that Mercy, going to be providing a lot of power to an already powerful Echo player on the field, whereas Maxwell not going to have the same value. So going to be needing to target that Mercy early and often if they look to compete with Biz in the sky. We see the Sticky Mines coming and taking Lava low, but not out of the fight just yet. But Infected is going to get aggressive, moving in with that Fortify, and the Amp Matrix is already out for Yamitra as Infected melts down lava, sending them back to the volcano from which they came, and Ship is indeed the captain, grabbing the double kill as they go ahead and push Lofi aim past the spawn door.
Talk about Infected again. I hate to bring it up, but it is a narrative for quite fully. That was really good Arrested play. It's quite hard to take space on Arrested and take the fights to your opponents, but that was really good from Infected. They looked so comfortable taking that engagement. They used all the resources they needed and no more than they needed, and they got into the fight and won it well. Very well timed. Maxwell, next team fight, has the duplicate, wants to make the fight long, and Lost wants to make it long as well with that ball, but who's it going to favor?
Well, it looks like they're going to go ahead and lock in that Sigma. The hole comes in, but no, the accretion takes him out of the duplicate form. But no, there's another one online. Ship brings it in and does what Maxwell just got interrupted in doing, saying you can take out one, but can you take out two? And now there are only 2 minutes remaining on the clock for Lofi aim to grab this objective.
Really nice engagement, really nice play. It was really well set up from Drifters. I like it when they get those sort of simple setups right. That's when they look at their best on the offense. Now they've got a chance to make some setups of their own. They have got Biz with the duplicate, but more importantly, I'm looking out for Cash's Gravitic Flux because they're playing against a more immobile composition, so it should be easier to get a play set up with that or make a play with that ultimate. Not sure what they're going to opt for yet, but keep an eye on Cash in this next fight.
That's absolutely true, and let's hope that we don't have another repeat of Regen where they ended up picking the wrong, ended up picking the Mercy over one of the tanks. We already see the Gravitic and Immortality invested for either side. The trades come in, and with no res for Maxwell, rather, that might spell doom for the side of Drifters as they try to push their way in. Biz does find Neptune as well, and the spawn is their oyster as we see now the Amp Matrix coming out for Yamitra, going to provide a little bit of extra pressure, although they don't have the additional support and attacker to be able to push them back. But now that it's gone, we're going to see Lofi aim push their way in with an Amp Matrix of their own. Drifters is trapped. There's no way that they can get out of here, and it looks like it's got to be Rocket throwing in the Bob, that 7th man on the field, to try to create some space for them to push back out of this choke. They already have 1 tick on the board, and it looks like Lofi aim is going to continue that percentage climb as they go ahead and grab 2nd and 3rd tick, cleaning up Objective Alpha in overtime and being able to unlock their path to Objective Bravo.
That was one of the moments where on Assault, it was kind of decided, that team fight win was kind of decided in between team fights. The previous team fight, we actually saw a pretty poor play from the offense in Lofi aim. They had the Gravitic Flux set up, they had the DPS on the side, but they weren't ready to go, they weren't ready to engage on that Gravitic Flux. So it was pretty poor, but then they got a pick in between fights, and they went in on that well. But this fight's going to be much more difficult for Lofi aim after that Flux. Well played from Ship, very well timed. As soon as they opened up that engagement, as soon as they were rotating into the fight, Ship just destroys all home.
That's absolutely true, and now we see Infected on the Winston. A very interesting pick here for the side of Drifters. Kind of similar to the Bulldozer composition we've been seeing run with the Rhine Winston. Instead you have that Sigma on the field. Maxwell just trying desperately to stay alive, opting for the Mercy duplicate to res ship back into the action and trying to get back into the team's defensive status as they get out of that dupe, get found by Lost, and that might be the door they need to push into this point.
Ship wanted to go to D.Va as well after the Gravitic Flux, and now they don't have time to because they're under pressure from Lofi, but it's big pressure as well. It's severe. It's going to be difficult here for Drifters to come out of this one.
All right, well, under pressure it is. Somebody call Queen or Vanilla Ice, you know, whichever one do you think deserves more credit here as they go ahead and push their way into the objective. Biz on this monkey duplicate does end up grabbing one, but the cleanup is fast and fierce from Drifters, but Biz is back in the action, gets found by Yamitra though, and that's it. That is all they need to clear the point. Once again, not a tick to be had by Lofi Aim as they get sent back with a minute on the clock.
That was a really difficult team fight for Drifters, but they dealt with it cool and collectively. Once they had an opportunity to go onto a target and make it 5 players left for Lofi, and they did exactly that. Once you kind of lost a player on your attack on second plate assault, it is very difficult to come back and win that just because of the respawn advantage and the nature of 2CP. But there are win conditions online for the offense, tied with the defense having to make some adjustments. They've got both tank ultimates and an up matrix.
Gravitic Flux already coming in from Cash, going ahead and cleaning up Infected, and Neptune coming in with kind of the half dive right there into the full 6 stack with now Biz and Lost on that Reaper and McCree. They're going to be doling out a heck of a ton of damage. First tick, second tick, third tick is looking to go right now as we see the Amp Matrix and the Bongos on the field. There is just nothing that can stop this. This team is prepared to shred right now as they go ahead and see if they can clean it up. They got to get them off this point before that hits overtime because they're not going to have another defense. If they don't, they got to be able to get it done and dusted right now, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. Overtime continues to tick away, and that is it. They are not going to be able to get that second defense, or second attack rather, and they're going to be put on the defense for the next 2.5 minutes to try to keep Drifters from getting that next dub.
I need to say that Lofi have actually been quite good this map. I thought I've been quite impressed with some of their team fights. Some of their setups, not really. I haven't really liked either team's setups this round. I feel like Drifters have kind of won the more impactful team fights just by a little bit more grit and a little bit more. They were kind of fortunate in some of the team fights where once they got onto point B, they had the perfect chance to snowball, the perfect win conditions. It kind of forced Lofi to change their composition, so they had to go onto the McCree. It was easy for them to force a bro and just win that team fight. And I feel like that's a bit lucky in some senses, but also well set up from Drifters. But Lofi, they haven't been too shabby this map themselves, and I wasn't really expecting much from them. There are points in this series where Lofi are competing with Drifters, and that means, you know, as I always say, if you nick a map, you can win a series. So they might be able to do that later on. I think it's going to be a difficult task them to draw Temple of Anubis. 2.5 minutes to defend a tick is extremely difficult, especially when the offense knows that's their win condition. I know both teams held for 3 minutes plus on their defenses on first point on their individual defensive rounds, but when you know there's a win condition there and there's a map win, it's a little bit easier for the attackers in that sort of sense. They have a win condition set for them, and it looks like they don't want to play any of those dive or rush setups here. They're just going to go with a standard brawl composition with some poke aspects, with Maxwell on the Hunzo and Chip on the Sigma. So no D.Va and no McCree.
Yeah, and that's going to be very good for them because it's all about sustainability right there, right? They've got 2 minutes on the clock to be able to push into this objective, so they can kind of just sit back, and as long as everybody stays alive and healthy, they can just earn up those ultimates. But also, you do have Lofi Aim that can earn up those ultimates just as quickly and just as ferociously as we go ahead and see them moving in with the speed of Neptune. The trades come in. Maxwell finds the double, but Lost does find Infected, but remember the spawn advantage is in Drifter's favor. They might have enough to be able to continue to push back on this if they're not able to get them back in the fight. Cash swaps over to the D.Va to try to get back in the action faster, and Infected actually picking the Wrecking Ball, even though they really didn't have to. They're just looking to keep that aggression going. The Amp Matrix comes out as Yamitra holds the bridge for dear life. Rocket getting ready to come up on that Blizzard, but no! they actually end up keeping Cash from touching the objective with the May wall, zoning them out, and will lock down Temple of Anubis, bringing Drifters up 2-0 in our series.
Yeah, a Drifter, when it comes to winning important team fights to go and, win the map, and that's obviously what matters in Overwatch, they just hit a new level, a new gear, right? For example, that team fight where they had to win to not get full health on Anubis, perfect. The entire round of Brazil downtime, perfect. The snowball fight after capturing point 10, they're going to go capture point B. Perfect execution. Those important team fights, the most important team fights to win in Overwatch, Drifters are absolutely excellent when it comes to them. And that sort of clutch factor is always important for a team.
That's absolutely true. And you know what? We got to give Lofi a little bit of time to kind of get their ducks in a row before Drifters take them away. So we're going to go ahead and head to a short break to see if maybe we can see some brooms being pulled out for a good old beep beep reverse sweep. We'll be back with more Tranquility action in a few moments. Welcome back, Overwatch fans, to the Tranquility Community Open 2, where we are in what could be the final map of our event. We are in the grand finals between Drifters and Lofi Aim, and needless to say, Lofi Aim is kind of on the back foot right now, and when you're on the back foot, you try to even it up as best as you possibly can. So we're taking it once again to King's Row.
So far has been mainly around Drifters' main tank player for this series in this tournament in Infected, a younger main tank player bursting through the North American scene. And they've been good today. I know I criticised them a little bit on Mecha Base, and I thought their setups were pretty poor on Temple of Anubis, but it's been a mature display. When they've needed to go and win teamfights, when they've needed to go and set the pace and get an engagement going, they've went and done that, and then that's an impressive thing for me, right? I feel like for a young main tank player who is playing in a different environment, that's pretty strong. That being said, they have looked weak during the little moments. There's little moments in this series where Lofi Aim are the better team. It has happened a couple of times. Their original first point defense on Anubis, I thought Lofi Aim with their setups were really, really strong. They were making plays better, and generally, there was nothing really that Drifters were doing on their offense, on the first defense for Lofi Aim of Anubis that really impressed me. And during Mecha Base, I thought Lofi Aim were the better team by far. So during those little moments, it's been interesting for me in particular. So let's see how Drifters cope with those sort of things and how this progresses throughout the series.
All right, well, it looks like we're going for the mirror match just like we saw before, but now this time Lofi Aim is on the back foot trying to see if they can make some magic happen. Maywall comes up, ends up separating out Lava from the rest of the team, but now they're going to be able to return the favor and try to zone out Infected. The Immortality Array going down for Geo as Drifters try to push their way in, forcing Lofi Aim into the Alderworth Hotel, doing the rotation. First tick comes out, double flashbang between Maxwell and Lost, but Ship is like, nah, let me help you out with that, bro. Go ahead and get the cleanup right there. Cash does find Infected amidst the chaos, but I think the damage has already been done. Yamitra pulling out the garage door as they dole out damage on both sides. And go ahead and take Objective Alpha with 3 minutes on the clock.
Strong from Drifters though. They went into that fight with a lot of intent. They always had an objective as to what they wanted to do, and they completed those objectives very, very well. And I always like that when I can see a team what they want to do, what their objective is, and that is a good part of the eye test where you go, this team has identity, they know what they want to do, they've got good structure. When you can see that just by looking at the screen, and then most people can see that, that's always a good sign. Now it's about the Blizzards here, and I want each team to kind of lay back a little bit and not let their opponents get an idea of the Blizzard setup.
All right, well, we'll see if that is indeed the case. And oh no, the Blizzard gets set up. Ship doesn't dive up and over to grab it, as in the Diva training Blizzard simulator thing, workshop mode. Just not enough practice yet. And that's going to go ahead and clean it up. 4:30 on the clock as the payload stuck at the choke.
You remember when we had a lot of those mirror matchups where Deadeyes were used to set up your own Blizzard, because as soon as your Deadeye is used up, the team fight slows down, and that's the best Blizzard timing.
Well, it looks like they don't need the Deadeye this time around. They're actually going to use the Deadeye to try to contest here as they go ahead and try to set things up for this next fight. Shatter comes out from Lava, finds nothing but Infected's shield and gets the counter tackle right there. Lava and Rocket end up going down as Infected does end up finding Cash in the side room, is trying to clean them up, but that pesky Biz is indeed giving the business to Infected, trying to hold on, will be saved by the rest of Drifters as they go ahead and clean up the point and get that Carta moving.
Right, I didn't quite get the point out last time. So when you use a Deadeye, the fight goes to a quicker pace for a short period of time and then slows right back down. When a fight slowly just slows down like that, that's the best time for a Blizzard. So Drifters used their Deadeye 2 fights ago to set up a nice fast-paced team fight. As soon as that Deadeye ended, it became slow and Biz was able to get a good Blizzard off. And the reason I'm mentioning it again is Biz has Blizzard on again, and Maxwell has Deadeye as well.
That's absolutely true. Let's see, Maxwell already pulling out that Deadeye to try to zone them back, but they're just going to get behind the cart in a very interesting fashion that actually works out in their favor. Geo trying to push back with this Amp Matrix, gets walled off by Rocket. Now Lost has the Deadeye online, but finds the Peacekeeper bullet of Maxwell to the face to go ahead and shut that sucker down. Infected is on a rampage with that hammer, grabs the double kill, clears the objective, and grabs point 2 with 4 minutes on the clock.
Yeah. Next team fight. Drifters, they are looking to snowball through point C. They've taken a little bit of space here, but they've lost Maxwell, so they're going to have to back off. But Drifters, why I'm mentioning them right now and why they have the opportunity to rush through the series is that the ultimates they have online.
A massive shatter comes in, but doesn't grab Lava, so they're not able to get the cleanup they're looking for, but the Maywall does separate out Lost and Biz. Cash trying to see if they can get the trade, but I don't think it's going to be enough to... Oh, triple kill with the self-destruct in the back line, and Geo finishes off Infected. Despite what seemed to be on the table, Cash turns the tide, cashing in that self-destruct for a triple limb and a stall of the cart.
I like that. So that Earthshatter from Infected, give them a nice hand at the fight, but realistically they should have been playing for different win conditions, like this Deadeye, which is now online. Not getting anything though.
Yeah, that is true, because you got an Amp Matrix as well as a beat being invested, but nevertheless, the picks are still coming in from Drifters. They were able to pull back just enough to be able to create that additional space, and Rocket, what a bully right there, ends up blocking off the spawn to try to see if they can grab Noctis in the end, but they don't see it. They don't see it. Lost his peek in there on the side and is ready to move in and zone with this Deadeye, seeing if they can clean it all up, but that Maywell blocks it out. They're able to zone for a bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough to prevent Drifters from pushing in and sending in a self-destruct of their own. They don't manage to grab much of anything, but everything is super low. It is super deadly right now on the objective for Lofi aim. The shatter comes in, sends Cash to the ground, and is now going to clean up the rest of this objective with 2 minutes on the clock. They just got to get that pesky Lucio off the point as the feed continues to come in from spawn. I don't think that they're going to be able to stop this, but Lofi aim is trying to do their darndest to make it happen.
Yeah. Ooh. There was an opportunity they could have got onto the point there. That I wasn't really zoning them completely off the payload. But I don't think Drifters will give two shits about that, frankly. Drifters, they get three points on the board. They've got 2 maps on the board. They're about to take this series, and it's up to Lofi aim to bring themselves back into it. Otherwise, we'll be done in just about 4 or 5 minutes.
Ocean, my childlike ears, goodness gracious.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. It is totally appropriate, though, right? It just seems like Drifters knew that they were kind of at a disadvantage going into that fight, especially with the spawn doors so close. But at the end of the day, it just ended up working out in their favor. They were able to, once again, utilize that zoning ult of Maxwell, that Deadeye, just to put the fear in. It's not necessarily that it would have got anything, just that fear of the possibility that it could have taken somebody out of the fight that needed to be on that cart, push Lofi aim away just enough for them to be able to touch. With 1:43 on the clock, though, it's now going to be up to Lofi aim to see if they can speed run King's Row.
I mean, it is. They've got to kind of put 2 feet forward here, right? They need to make a statement here. Otherwise, Drifters, yeah, they'll kind of come back from losing this map if they do lose this map and go, oh yeah, well we're 2-1 up, and they'll still have momentum in this series. Lofi have got to come into this map with this round, with intent, and they have to make a statement and get a stomping time back here on King's Row.
So the one thing that we're continually talking about is using that Mei. If you don't have a Mei on the field, it could put your team at a disadvantage. And right now, Biz is showing that you don't need a Mei to rock it right now when you got the Doomfist in the pocket. Grabs the double kill to be able to create just enough space for Lofi Aim to go ahead and clean up the rest of the team. Maxwell, the only survivor, able to roll away back to the safety of the team as we see Objective Alpha captured, but Drifters will be prepared for this chokehold.
Yeah, they get that. That was a nice team fight attack on point at King's Row, going up to Doomfist, playing with a little bit of a faster pace. That's what you always want to do with said Doomfist, and Drifters didn't really adapt or weren't able to scout that Doomfist and then play appropriately. One thing I'm not liking from either of these teams is how they're setting up their win conditions at all. Both teams in the previous round were not setting up their blizzards well, or were actually setting up their opposing team's blizzards extremely well. But I would like a little bit more thought around the win conditions here on King's Row. This map is not as simple as Brawl Go Burr. It's actually quite a methodical map.
Well, remember, they are previous sibling teams, so you know they're just trying to be nice, help each other out, you know, kind of like siblings would, or if they're anything like my children, not always all the time, you know, try to set it up for them to fail instead. So let's see if they can make that work for them instead. That payload is already very close to Objective Bravo as the rollout comes in from Blizz, finds them amidst the Immortality Field, yeets Yamitra out of it, and the Deadeye finds Maxwell, and this is dead, done, and dusted. That Meteor Strike does just enough damage to be able to turn the tide. Infected just doesn't have a leg to stand on, and now not a Shatter to be able to utilize in the next fight as we go ahead and see Point Bravo taken by Lofi A.
I said they had to go and make a statement. And this is a statement that Drifters are going to have to be concerned about. They're going to have to write back about this and go, can you not do this on King's Row, please? We're trying to win a series here. We're trying to win a tournament. We're trying to get some bucks. Can you not? Well, let's think about how they can stop themselves from losing those bucks. And that's with a nice self-destruct again.
Ooh, self-destructs go either way, but doesn't find the value it's looking for. But Drifters are able to go right on in. Both the Rhines down, both the Baptiste down, and with Blizz and Lost out of the fight, it does seem that Lofi Aim is indeed lost right now. They do have 5 minutes on the clock, but they're going to have to go ahead and pull back, regroup, as Drifters go ahead and set up a very strong defense.
What you now have to be worried about Lofi Aim have to now be worried about is this corner hole, right? They've got a Deadeye to set up their Blizzard, they've got a Sound Barrier. If you try to go and make a play of your own, this is a difficult team fight for Lofi Aim.
You know what? I'm still sad that you only get one tumbleweed with the Deadeye, but you only get one kill with the Deadeye as well, as Ship going in, goes ahead and cleans up the rest of the team. Maxwell holding that Peacekeeper high as Lofi Aim head back to spawn.
And they managed to keep hold of the Blizzard as well. I don't really like the fact that they invested the Sound Barrier, but they still have a win condition online. And sometimes just one win condition is all you need. As long as it's well set up, as long as they can slow the fight down, they'll be able to get a nice Blizzard.
All right, no! Rocket trying to dive on into him. Will pay for it with their life thanks to Cash, but Biz is looking to clean stuff up and get that cart moving again. The last man standing is Maxwell on that cart, and they're going to start moving it in with 3 minutes on the clock.
Right, I know a lot of these Meis are Trials level players, right? But I do not want to see a Mei try and engage with Blizzard ever again. It never works well. I still see 8Co from Contenders Trials trying a blizzard like that on Oasis Gardens. Please stop it. It hurts my hand.
Well, you know, they got to try to be cheeky every once in a while. I mean, we did have to deal with all of the craziness of Fusion Fusion Uni, and you know, they're just trying to see if they can do a little bit of their own. Rocket zoning out with the blizzard. Ship sends the bomb back as Lava is preoccupied by the Ice Queen, and that is going to be enough to reset the tempo of the fight. 3 minutes now exactly remain on the clock as we see Lofi trying to move back in with a fervor.
Yeah, I think they want to take the fight further up to try and guarantee the fact that Lofi will have to win 2 clean team fights to finish off King's Row, and I like this decision making from Drifters to have a Deadeye and a Stormfire to do it as well, so this should be a pretty clean engagement for them.
Well, let's see if they can make it happen. The Doomfist goes in and starts things off because Biz is all about the business, but Maxwell ends up sending them back from whence they came. Biz does find Infected, though, as they try to peel to see if they can take Cash out of that mech, and the cleanup is fast and fierce. Lost and Biz are indeed ready to take this payload back, and with 2 minutes on the clock, we're heading into final fight territory.
Yeah, but Drifters, since they took the fight so far up, it means that we'll get another team fight and they'll have an Earth Shatter to try and make a play with. So all eyes on Infected once again.
Oh no, Maxwell was able to touch Carp, but thought that the rest of the team would be able to push in time to be able to touch the cart. Unfortunately, that recall may cost them, as we see only a 13-second difference between Drifters and Lofi Aim, but Drifters are now on the back foot for King's Row. They'll be heading to the attack first to see if they can make this a 6-point map.
I'm trying to go back in my head to see why they didn't get 2 team fights there. They almost should have, definitely. I think it's maybe because they didn't actually get to take the team fight the corner. They had to kind of kite back and take it deeper. And I think maybe the fact that Infected got stunned out early in the team fight is the reason they didn't get 2 team fights. And I don't think it was any fault of Infected. It's just how the cookie crumbled. And that really helps Lofi M here. And I think that attack was a statement from Lofi M. I think Drifters have got to write a response here on their offense and bring the momentum of this series back into their hands here. Maxwell might play the Echo here. Maxwell's look great on the Echo here, or they might go for the Hunzo. I feel like Drifters, they always bring out weird types of role where they'll have more poke elements because Ship likes to play the Sigma. No, I don't think they're going to do it anymore. Ship going to the Diva indicates that Maxwell is probably going to play McCree or Echo. I don't think there's any chance of the Hunzo coming out anymore. No, okay, back to the Sigma it is.
It is just all over the place right now as they are trying to make their way into this objective. Remember, they've only got a couple fights to do it with, and with the lower time bank, you got to try to make the best of a bad situation. Ship and Maxwell trying to create some space with the poke that they've isolated. Lost with the Maywall of Rocket, and that's going to be the first, second, third. Like dominoes, they fall to the ground like wet cardboard as we go ahead and see Drifters taking objective alpha with ease.
Yeah. I don't think their opponents expected the Echo. Echo was a really nice neutral pick against Brawl, right? Because, you know, nothing really apart from the McCree and the May is going to be really able to spam the Echo out. The Diva could maybe Matrix in front of it and be a little bit annoying, sure, but of course those players can be tied together, which means sticky moments are going to generate more ult charge, and it is just a nice matchup for the Echo to play into. So I like the fact that they're just letting Maxwell kind of do their own thing. It's not really a pick for the composition, it's a pick to isolate their opponent's composition, and I quite like it.
That is absolutely true, and as we know, Echo is the most powerful character in the game right now, until some recent changes that we know are an experimental right now, but until then, she's going to continue to be a raining hellfire out on all who seek to try to counter her, and Maxwell right now is indeed being that nuisance as we see the amps come out on either side. The time is ticking down. Overtime is ready to start ticking away, and the angle that Drifters were able to speed in to that objective will clear the choke as they push in overtime.
Well, both teams only used one ultimate each, the amplification matrix. Now, Drifters, depending on how they want to set this up, I would like them to take as much space as possible here, because that would mean that Lofi have to travel across this straightaway here, and that might make things difficult here for themselves. 5 ultimates or so each will be alive for both teams.
Ooh, the shatter comes in from Infected, but the Blizzard gets traded by Biz to try to see if they can meet the aggression. Rocket throws in a Blizzard of their own, and although Ship goes down, they're looking to give them the easy spawn to come back with. Maxwell sends a self-destruct deep, catches Cash outside the mech, and that's going to give them objective Bravo still in overtime.
Can an Overwatch coach clip that team fight, please? And that is why you don't engage with Blizzard and use it when the tempo is right, because we saw Lofi on the defense. They panic, they engage with Blizzard. They don't get any value out of it. As soon as the fight slows down, it simmers down, Rocket wins the team fight for the Drifters, and now Lofi have to make a play again.
Self-destruct going in, gets nothing but immortality, as Lost does find Yamitra amidst the chaos. Now the beat being invested from Noctis. They're going to end things right here, right now. This is not going to be a 6-point map. They're not going to allow it to happen. Neptune, the only one left to touch point, is going to have to get off with an icicle to the face. 22 meters on objective Charlie as they go ahead and head to the defense.
Alright, gamers, the win condition has been set. If Lofi wants to keep this finals afloat, they will have to capture 2.5 points of King's Row in 1 minute and 56 plus overtime. It's a difficult task, but it is doable. The reason it's doable is because of King's Row. Oh no, not just because Drifters did it. King's Row itself is a very snowballing map. It's kind of similar to maps like Watchpoint Gibraltar. Havana could be quite snowbally as well. And of course, the other one that we're all thinking of is all of the 2CP maps, right?
Yep.
When you say snowball, you think of 2CP. And the reason I say that is when you win a team fight on King's Row, it is not very often that you won't win the next one. And that, of course, is the definition of a snowball. When you roll a snowball down a hill, it picks up speed and it picks up more snow and gathers more momentum and just becomes a bigger, better snowball. So, if Lofi win the first team fight, there is a higher percentage chance that they're going to win the next one. The problem is, when Drifters build their ultimates, how do they deal with that? Are they going to have their own ultimates to counteract that? What sort of win conditions are you going to have? How are you going to play to that? What's your strategy for that team fight? That's what's going to matter. Ultimate tracking is going to be key in this round.
That is absolutely true, and they gotta try to keep Drifters at bay from either using ultimates or trying to get them to invest more as quickly as they can. Now, Drifters have been showing that they are methodical. They plan out each attack and defense to the best of their ability, and they're able to wait out the aggression that comes out from Lofi aim. And already we see the Maywalls coming out. Biz does end up getting isolated by Ship, and that is going to be a good opening move to go ahead and push them back as we see 1:15 on the clock.
Team fight, it looks like Drifters, they know they want to stay further back and poke a little bit. They don't want to be hardcore.
Oh, that is a definite aggression right there. They knew that they were down the May, and they knew that Lava was separated. Taking advantage of that is allowing them to shave a little bit more time off the bank. But Biz is now on that Hanzo, looking for that single pick potential right now as they go ahead and move their way in. Already a quarter of the way to that dragon.
Maxwell has the duplicate, and that's going to make things difficult for the offense, because not only do they have to deal with Maxwell's duplicate, but they have to deal with the fight being long, and that can be quite tricky for the offense at points.
All right, the Deadeye comes out, and it finds Infected. They have created the opening as Noctis finds Neptune in the side room. Biz goes down once again to Ship as well as Noctis, but it's not going to be enough to change the tide of the fight, and it's like deja vu. I've seen this before as we go ahead and see the point unlocking just barely before overtime ticks away. They've got to get through this choke, and they got to get through it fast.
I think they will get through their choke. And the important thing for the offense is that they have a couple more ultimates. The problem is they don't have that Blizzard, and they need to be careful that they don't set up Rocket for their own Blizzard as well.
All right, the Gravitic Flux Array coming out from Ship, trying to go for the Sigma 9, and there it is. The blizzard has been set up. They've tried to clear the objective, and Maxwell with the initial pick onto Geo opens up the door for the mayhem. The self-destruct comes in from Cash, and it's just fireworks in the sky. Drifters walking away with Kings Row, walking away with the grand finals, and walking away with back-to-back championship titles here at the Tranquility Open.
And this is where ultimate tracking comes into play, and why Drifters' unorthodox team fight, a very aggressive team fight, worked out well. I'm gonna go into a bit of depth here. So both teams know that they have a lot of ultimates each. Drifters know that a slower paced Blizzard is better for them. So why do they engage at such a fast tempo and keep the team fight fast? Well, the problem is for Lofi is if Drifters use ultimates, they kind of have to respond with ultimates, and once their ultimates finish, the fight slows down, and it's time for Rocket's Blizzard to come into play and bang, not just the team fight over, not just the map over, but the whole entire tournament is over. What a masterclass of a last fight from Drifters.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to be seeing here. The cool, the calculated, that is why we continue to see Drifters over and over again being able to lock down those championship spots. And honestly, I thought that they might be a little depressed, so to speak, after what we saw in Contenders Trials. You know, they gave it their all, but sometimes, you know, you're just become the big fish in the big pond at some point, and you just got to kind of take your hits and come back at it again. And it looks like Drifters, with no lack of practice and precision, that they are ready, willing, and able to be able to take it in this next open division and possibly take it up to Contenders proper. We're going to go ahead, head to a quick break, and see if Drifters do want to come in for a quick interview, kind of talk a little bit about their experiences and maybe get some insight from those Tranquility veterans that have made it up to this level. We will be back with some more action here in a few moments. All right, welcome back, Overwatch fans. We have got a triple threat for you here in the chat. We have got Rocket and Neptune and Maxwell coming in from our Tranquility Open back-to-back champions, the Drifters. Welcome, y'all. And how you feeling? I know that Trials was kind of a hit on the noggin, and you're kind of working your way back up. But today's got to feel really good, especially after the dub in the Landfest tournament last week.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean, coming into these like not necessarily smaller tournaments, but these more like community-based tournaments, and just showing that we're still a threat and like against like tier 2 teams or tier 3 teams, and just like keeping our name like talked about in the room is very important, and we're really thankful for these like TOs and just communities like being able to run these tournaments. But yeah, I mean, we all feel really good. We knew we had that match bagged, but it was they fought hard and they played really well. So shout outs to them.
Absolutely. They definitely were giving you a little bit of a run for your money. And as you were talking about the tournaments like these that are run by, tier 4 and tier 3 communities, we've mentioned quite a few times on this broadcast that you and Yumitra came from Tranquility in your way of kind of climbing up. Would you like to kind of give us a little bit about like how that looked, kind of moving your way through the ranks of a tier 4 tournament, and then kind of finding your spot there amongst the contenders trials participants now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined Trank about a year and a half ago. So August of 2019. Started in Discord tier, obviously. Played pretty hard there. I think at that time I was around like 3.6 or 3.7. We got second place that season with Eclipse. And then the following season, I rejoined Trank in Transcendence. At that point, I was around 4.1, 4.2. Then we ended up winning Season 4 Chance tier with Second Chance. Following that, another Trank team that some of you guys might know is Havoc. They reached out to most of that roster, picked us up. We played with them. That was kind of our like first break into tier 3. Not really, more like tier 4, tier like 3.5.
Yeah.
The like top 24 era. So yeah, we played with them. Then after that, team decided to just go our separate ways. Trialed a bunch of tier 3 teams, got my name out. Got picked up by Six Guns. Played with them for a little bit and managed to get into a stream against attack mode, where I played well enough to where they wanted to give me a tryout. Then I got on the team, and now I've been here since December. So
yeah, it is incredible to see kind of that work going. And if you had any encouragement for those in Tranquility and other tier 4 organizations that are looking to move their way up, what is kind of one piece of advice that you could give? And Neptune and Maxwell, I'm not for certain where you all come from, so if you have experience in this as well, feel free to chime on in.
For me, I was on like tier 4-ish team named like Ski Corp with like a different participant like on region right now.
Okay.
Ski Coops, and then mostly known like Armory, and we like made, I'm not quite sure, it was like practice OD. That doesn't even count for us. So like I never made like tier 3 really.
Gotcha.
But what mostly happened after I left that team, I just kind of stuck around, just waiting for my opportunity, because like I knew like I can be better than like my current like that like scene. Okay. So I just like grinded a comp, and then I actually got picked up by Regen, which had like Ship, Lava, who was playing against us today. Shout out to him, great friend, teammate. And then like a lot of the former drifters were from that roster, like Boat as well. So yeah, I got picked up from there as a sub, and that's kind of like where my story came from.
How about you, Maxwell? Got any experience in the tier 4 scene?
Back in the day, I was on a little team called Lividosity. And then from Bermuda Academy, I started to breach into the upper tiers of tier 3, and I won't say that Trials is exactly tier 2, but Trials, and then I've been floating around that level for a while. Biggest advice I give to anybody aspiring to reach greater heights is simply commit yourself to bettering yourself as a player and as a teammate, because if you're really good, people will remember you, and if you're really nice, people will want to talk about what they remembered about you.
Awesome. That's definitely some good advice right there that we try to teach in the community. Neptune and Rocket, how about you? Do you have any advice for our growing and aspiring future OWL players here in the various tier 4 communities?
I would say for me, even though I saw there's this whole thread about peaks not matter, I still think it's great to grind comp. The SR validates you in the eyes of others, even though you don't need like a high SR, like Rocket, for example. Like he's like the goat. Like if you saw that the fucking ice wall he calculated on the shatter on second, that was amazing.
Right.
So like I'd say like just try to your best to perform in ranked, because like SR always just validates you. It makes you confident in your play.
Awesome. Rocket, how about you?
Advice I'd give to like aspiring players that want to like take their game up is just treat everyone with respect. Like, especially like in tier 4, tier 3, I don't think there's any room for anyone to have like an ego or think some players are bad because of past experiences with them or like tournament results. Like, I think you'll win more in scrims and tournaments and just like in general in Overwatch if you like treat everyone the same. Go into every game thinking they're good, like don't ego them,
Yeah. Yeah, and we have those issues at this level as well, and we see those teams that just kind of put that aside and are here to play the game and learn and grow together, and they really excel. And that, as we talked about earlier, creating communities where toxicity is kind of starting to be removed from gaming as a whole. We know, back, if you're like me, back in the COD and the early Halo days and stuff like that, where online gaming was still relatively new, just where this toxicity came from, nobody knows. But as we're kind of changing the script, it really feels good to see players like y'all kind of growing out of that and showing that it doesn't take a big ego. It doesn't take, the mental typing game during the game to try to set the team off. It's just about showing your raw skill, trying to be a good teammate, and just being a good sport overall, win or lose. Ocean, would you like to ask some additional questions about the matches that we saw today and maybe the future of this team?
Mostly it's about the past and the future. Want to talk to kind of like an overall team question, so you kind of discuss amongst yourselves how you want to answer it. So, when we're as a casters or whatever behind the production scene, we always kind of talk about teams when they drop from trials. We kind of add a question mark to them. Are they ready to go to contenders or whatever, right? And that question mark's always going to happen after trials. But that question mark's been eliminated with 2 pretty good community tournament performances. We know that Drifters has a nice core roster or whatever. So what are you guys working on to make sure that next time you're in trials, it won't go the same way? You'll get to contenders and finally break that mark. Just a team question, so anyone can pipe up.
Who wants it?
I mean, we're not in the rooms with you, so we can't do like the whole rock paper scissors thing. It's just,
I'll do it. I'll do it first. All right. So for me, it's not. So for me, I know personally, like how I felt after our trial season was to there's like a comment during contenders about the dark mode player off tank Maximus about his play and how like he was so good and like he had like nothing to lose because he was like basically retired. And I think like looking at my gameplay, I kind of like I should just play like more like that. I wouldn't say like I was scared or nervous or anything. I just felt like I didn't do my I wasn't going for what I wanted.
Okay.
And so like going forward, I'm gonna try like more towards actually just like inting essentially. Inting for value, finding my value. Dude, I'm an inter at heart, So I'm gonna try to find out like to not be afraid and still look for like my playstyle,
Nice.
And just treat it as like I'm nothing to lose because I really don't,
Gotcha.
Right, so this is a bit of an interesting question, kind of a bit of a shot at the Saints. I hope you don't mind this. So the core roster of Drifters has been together for a while, and previously on Attack and Initial Drift, and has been improving together steadily for a while. It looks on a projected way to hit contenders or stay in 2.5, stay in trials for a long time. What do you think the importance of that synergy is, and keeping a core together?
I think it's the most. I think keeping a core 6 or 7 or 8 players together for an extended period of time is the most underrated thing, and I think it's the biggest thing that's keeping a lot of these like tier 3 teams from going to the next level and like making trials or making contenders. Is a lot of players are very impatient and they want like a shortcut to T2 and get their name out immediately. But at the end of the day, it's a long process, and that's why like teams like Regen and us like are such like big names in the tier 3 and tier 2.5 scene, is because we've stayed together for so long. Everyone knows us, everyone knows what we can do and where we can go. As well as just like the team like synergy is just so important in understanding every player on the team's individual ideas and what they want to do throughout the like individual metas. Like I can know how aggressively Crimson wants to play on Ryan if we're playing a Brawl meta. I also know how aggressive he wants to play on a Winston meta. It's those kind of things that you won't find with these like project teams that are just coming together, gonna give OD one run. If it doesn't work, go LFT. It's very inconsistent.
Yeah, we see that a lot, and honestly, kind of in the casting booth, we refer to a lot of those teams as players that are changing teams as much as they change socks. And sometimes the synergy is just there naturally, but to be able to find all 6 people, all 6 of them that work so uniquely together, like right off the bat, it's near impossible. And we see it play out in OD all the time. Sometimes teams are able to make it, just by the skin of their teeth, but then they just get absolutely dismantled once they get into contenders trials. So, again, seeing a team like Drifters being able to stay together for so long, creating that synergy, creating kind of more so the vibes, like you get the feeling that what's going to happen before it even happens, and you're able to predict kind of your teammates' movements and whatnot is always so exciting, and I wish was more of a mainstay in today's Overwatch scene.
Yeah, I allude on that. I'm so glad that you kind of hinted on the issues of players trying to take a shortcut. I think we see that so often, just by an eye test. Every single time we look at rosters start of our day, we're like, really? They've changed teams again? They look kind of good on that roster, and they weren't good on the previous roster. Why are they now back with this player that they didn't play well before? And it's kind of a perplexing puzzle for us, right? And it is nice to see teams stick together, but to talk about Drifters again, I'm going to fire this and direct this question towards Maxwell. Do you have any message to any people who have maybe doubted your team, or any messages to any tier 2.5 teams that when you get back into trials and you're ready to take the throne of contenders? Any message you want to send to anyone?
Any message like a threat?
No, it doesn't have to be a threat. It can be.
It's a promise, Maxwell. You want to ensure
these teams are the teams that we'd be going up against.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't underestimate us. I mean,
yeah.
I'm going to make sure that I do everything in my power to make us win.
All right.
I like it. Okay, that's a nice threat. That's a nice one.
It's a nice
promise.
It's a fact. It's a fact. There's no room for error.
Even better. It's a fact. You know what? And that's all it takes, folks. Bringing your all to the game is what is greatly important, whether you're tier 4 or Overwatch League material. Bringing your all and leaving it all on the cutting room floor at the end of the day is what makes playing this game so amazing. I mean, Ocean and I, every cast that we do, we bring everything that we got, because we know that every match we're hoping that the teams are just giving it everything that they have to be able to take away the victory. So thank you so much to you 3 for spending your time with us. Is there anyone that y'all would like to shout out for your victory today? Any coaches or people outside of your team, specifically family members, friends, and whatnot, that you like to give a quick shout out to today?
Yeah, absolutely. Our coaches, best there are, all of tier 2. Green Havoc, Swordwalker, Pokitude, great. Our managers, Jenghua and Open, and then all of the content staff we have on Drifters. They do like insane art, promotional tweets, just social media, everything. They're the best at what they do. So shout out to all of them.
We actually played the graphics that made our stickers in today's tournament.
How about that? So thanks for the stickers. We appreciate it. We're still gonna beat you, but thanks. We appreciate it.
Special shout out to head coach Green Havoc for being the rock of the team.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and let you all peace out so that you can celebrate your team as we go ahead and wrap things up here. And folks, thank you so much for being here for the second Tranquility Community Open. Again, this is not our main tournament. This is just something we do for fun in the off season. If you want to catch the main action, we have a 3-month, 3-stage tournament that we put on twice a year. You just missed Season 6. It was an absolute banger, but we are already getting prepared for Season 7 come this fall. So if you want to know everything that is going on here at Overwatch Tranquility, be sure to go check us out at owtranquility.com. Want to give a special shout out to Booth, who's been running everything behind the scenes, not only doing production, but is our Twitch team manager, been kind of organizing everything, setting the casters up, making sure the teams are all ready to go and whatnot. We couldn't do it without you and all the rest of the amazing production team in the back line running the show. Ocean, anything else you want to talk about before we go ahead and sign off for the evening?
I actually want to say how great the interview was, because we got all the answers we were looking for. We got Maxwell Spice, we got Neptune, Charity, we got Rocket answering the hard questions. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's a nice interview from y'all.
All right. Well, we thank them so much for that, and we thank you all for watching. From Booth, Ocean, and myself, Captain Jack, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all come this fall.